Who do the experts think the Seattle Seahawks will get in the 2025 NFL Draft? What's going on, everybody? Good morning. It is Wednesday, and this is normally where we'd be talking about college football stuff leading into the 2025 NFL Draft. But we've kind of exhausted that, at least in the way that I was doing it, because college football is done. We do have some games left. We have bowl games. There are going to be some things that happen that matter the rest of the way, but not a lot. So rather than trying to squeeze a bunch of life out of some bowl games and the playoff, I think it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more of an effective use of our time to look at things through different angles. So for this video, I thought one thing that we could do that could be fun would be to take a look at some of the major internet mock drafts that are currently out there and get a feel for what the experts think the Seahawks will do. And understand that when I say expert, that doesn't mean that they're likely or even possibly going to get anything right, especially at this point. They are the people who are professionals. They are the people who get paid to do this stuff. They are, something separates them from the people who just post random stuff on like internet forums and on X or Facebook or whatever. I think you guys understand the distinction. I'm not saying that Pete Prisco or Mel Kiper are significantly more accurate in their projections than the layman, but these are the people that we have deigned, for one reason or another, the experts. So we're not going to look at everything, of course, because that would take all day, but I thought it would be fun to take a look at a section of some of the most well-renowned mock drafts on the internet. So we're going to start with Tankathon here, and then we're going to move through a few different mock drafts and just try to get a feel for what they think we're going to end up with. And I will say this, none of this is to imply or indicate that I'm checking out on this Seahawks season. We still have 3 games left. I'm not trying to turn the page on any of that. And I don't think anybody else should either. We got 3 games left. We got a winning record. We can still make some good things happen this season. I'm not out on it. But I think going forward, it makes sense for Wednesday to kind of become the day where we invest a little bit more time into draft stuff. So don't misinterpret this. I'm not giving up on this season. I'm not done with this season. I'm not trying to just get to the off season. Believe me, if I were trying to get to the off season, the first things on my mind would not be the draft. They would be clearing cap space, free agency. So we got to get through that before we get through the draft anyway. But I think this stuff is worth talking about. And I would say that even if the Seahawks had 12 wins right now. Please like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Click the bell for notifications. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. So we're starting with Tankathon here. And one thing that Tankathon's mock draft does that is really nice, they do 3 rounds. The others do 1. So there's going to be a little bit more to say here. So let's go through Tankathon's mock draft. They update every week, by the way. So we can tune in next week and look at this same page. And it's going to be very different probably, but right now, they have the Seahawks picking at 18, which is where they would currently sit if the season ended right now. And they land on Ariante Ursary, tackle out of Minnesota. Now, I like Ursary. I think he's a good player. To my knowledge, he is looked at mostly as a left tackle. So, that being the case, this is a little bit of a hard sell. So in order for me to feel like taking a guy like Ursary at this pick makes sense, it would have to be in a context of him moving to right tackle or moving to guard. And now, these numbers are sometimes not accurate, but he is a bigger guy. According to Tankathon, he's 330 pounds. So that is typically the profile of a player who is too big to play left tackle in the NFL. It's somebody who will usually move to right tackle or left guard. So maybe. But honestly, bigger offensive linemen are often not really considered a schematic fit for a zone-based scheme anyway. Now, whether or not we still have a zone-based scheme, I don't know. We've kind of abandoned it the last 3 games, and there's been some degree of success there, so I'm not going to get into that too much. We don't even know who the offensive coordinator is going to be next year. But Ursery, I'd be okay with that. I'd like it a lot more if we had confidence that he can move to left guard or right tackle. I really don't see left tackle as a need, but okay. This is definitely barking up the right tree here. I'm not against it. It's not my favorite, but it's good. So now we get down to the round 2 pick, Jack Sawyer. So Jack Sawyer, edge rusher out of Ohio State, Buckeye. I like it. It's pretty good. If you could get Jack Sawyer in the middle to the late middle of the second round, I think you're doing very well for yourself. He's not the best edge rusher on his team, in my opinion, but he's still very good, having a nice little season. Somewhat muted in terms of stats, partially because he's playing with JT, and JT's just a little bit better. And in an edge crop this deep, I feel like he doesn't stand out as much because the players above him are so good. But I like him, and I think second round value is probably about right based on my initial evaluation of him. So I'm on board. I think that's pretty good too. And then third round, we go down to the Seahawks pick, Mason Taylor. I don't mind the idea of taking a tight end. I think we need a tight end. I don't know if this is the one that I would pick. I don't mind it. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. I will say, at first glance here, Gunnar Helm is still available at this pick. He goes 3 picks later. I think I like Helm better than Mason Taylor. I think. I'm open to changing that, though. Mason Taylor was somebody who wasn't really on my radar until very recently, so I'm going to be willing to be a little bit flexible on that evaluation. But I like the idea, so I'd say those 3 picks were good. I don't think they are stellar. They're probably not going to be my number 1 choices, but they're good. And I'd say Tankathon did well. And believe me, I would not have said the same about Tankathon's mock draft last week. Last week's Tankathon mock draft, I thought was atrocious. So good to see things getting better over here. If this was our first 3 picks, I'd probably give that about a B+. I could even... I need to look into Mason Taylor a little bit more. I could even be talked into a little bit higher than that, but I'd be pretty good if these are the first 3 picks. I'd feel like we are addressing the right things. I'd feel like that we are looking at things the right way. Again, I'd like to know if Ursery can play other positions other than left tackle, but assuming he can, the approach is pretty much, I think, what you're looking for. All right, next we're going to look at USA Today here. And the cool thing about USA Today, they've actually aggregated several different mock drafts. So it's only 1 round, but this 1 page is going to give us 4 different picks. So that's going to help allow us to take in extra information in a shorter period of time. So let's roll on down here through some of the high picking teams. Let's get to the Seahawks pick. And yeah, we're picking at 18. And USA Today has Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. Theoretically, okay. Again, I don't know what his flexibility is. I don't know about his flexibility to right tackle or left guard. But I do like him. I do think he's pretty good. First round, I don't know if I'm feeling first round. I will say that. If he's going to be good, then he's going to be good, and I'll live with a reach. But my gut tells me this would be a little bit of a reach. Just a little bit. I could be talked out of it. If he tests well, I'll probably get into this range anyway. But it's not bad. ESPN had a mock draft. Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. I love the idea, but I'm not sure about the execution. I don't think Tyler Booker played that well this year. I don't know if he's worthy of being a first round pick, much less a mid first round pick. And I mean, this is at a certain point. What point are you going Germain Ifedi on us? Because that was the logic with Germain Ifedi, right? We need a offensive lineman. It doesn't matter if they suck. And I don't think Tyler Booker is like an like a Germain Ifedi level of bad. But I don't want to take a round 3 guy in the first round just because I'm desperate for that position. Like, if it's not there, I'm not chasing it to that degree. I'll chase it a little bit, but I'm just not sure Tyler Booker is worthy of being a first round pick. I don't get the sense that he had a great year at Alabama the way that people were expecting. There are other things to like about the pick, don't get me wrong, but I'm hesitant there. Fox Sports gave us Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan. I would like that. I think that's pretty good. I think the value's about right. And low key, the Seahawks could use a little bit more help on the defensive line. And I know people are going to hate hearing that. We just gave $63 million to Leonard Williams, and we just used a first round pick on Byron Murphy. I get it. But we don't really have anything long term here for nose tackle. Kenneth Grant can probably play some NFL nose tackle. And even if he is a little bit overextended there, what does this team have other than Murphy and Williams? Nothing. Mike Morris may as well not be on this team anymore. Miles Adams literally isn't on the team anymore. Like, we need some defensive linemen. And I hate saying that because of all the resources we've spent on the position, but it's true. So I don't mind that. And then CBS Sports gives us Deonte Walker. That one, I'd be pretty down with too. He's kind of like Kenneth Grant. I don't think he's had as good a season as Kenneth Grant. And Deonte Walker is definitely somebody who's a little bit more potential over production to me. But the potential's immense. He's a giant dude who can play some nose tackle, but he's also athletic enough to play 3 tech or 4-eye. He should be able to play a lot of roles on that defensive line. And again, I'm not happy about it, but we probably need help on that defensive line. I wish we didn't, but we didn't seem like we hit on most of these moves to get depth there. Maybe we can, even if we bring Jaron Reed back, I don't think it's enough. Mike Morris, Miles Adams, Roy Robertson Harris, none of these guys really need to be here next year, it seems to me. So you got to get somebody else in there that can play. And Deonte Walker, I was a little higher on him before the season started, admittedly, but very talented. And he would be able to provide reps at nose tackle and, I believe, in that 3 tech / 4-eye role. All right, so that's it for USA Today's aggregate. Pretty good. Let's jump on over to Pro Football Network here. Let's take a look at what Brett Hoffman has to say. Let's scroll on down through this one. Again, it's just the first round, and it's just the, just the first round, and it's just the one pick. And also, he's a little out of date. I think he's using the draft positioning from last week. But he went Jahdae Barron. I like Jahdae Barron a lot. I have a hard time seeing him as a first-round pick. Maybe the playoff will change that, though. If he plays well in the playoff, if he makes some big splash plays in the playoffs, now that he could change. So, Jahdae Barron, I do believe that he has potential to be a really great like slot corner and maybe passing down linebacker in this league. I don't know if I'm spending a first-round pick on that, but I'm willing to have my mind changed. It's just a little too much for me right now. It's just a little too much. Maybe I can be convinced. Bleacher Nation. Let's take a look at Matt Rooney. This was just posted a couple of days ago. Let's take a look. What do they have the Seahawks doing? Jonah Savaiinaea from Arizona. I've talked about him a lot this year too. Not bad. Jonah is somebody who is clearly meant to play on the inside, in my opinion. He's played, I believe, left tackle this year. I think he's playing left tackle right now for Arizona. Either that or right tackle, but he, I believe, is clearly meant to play left guard, ultimately. So this would be a pick to certainly address that. I really thought that Tyler Booker was going to be the kind of Cadillac of the left guard spot this year in the draft, but I think Savai has probably supplanted him. And I think he's probably the best left guard there. Do I think he's worth a first round pick? More or less. Close enough. I could be down with this one because I'm confident that he can play guard, even though he's been a tackle. I think that his skill set demands it. So that's good. And now let's go over to the NFL mock draft database. They do their consensus mock draft. Gets updated constantly, having data fed into it over and over and over again. And what do they have at 18 for the Seahawks? Shemar Stewart. I struggle with this one. I don't know if I think Shemar Stewart's a first-round player. But even if I did, Shemar Stewart, I believe, is sub 300 pounds. He's not a nose tackle. I don't believe he plays nose tackle reps at all for A&M. If I'm wrong, then that's different. But I'm pretty sure that Shemar Stewart is not a nose tackle. But in any sense of the word, even in college. If you can't play nose tackle in college, then you're probably not going to be able to do it in the pros. But for me, getting somebody at 18 overall who is just like that 3-tech or 4-eye type dude, I don't know if I can get behind that. Like, I understand we need defensive linemen, but if I'm going to get a guy here, I want somebody who's going to be able to give me reps at the nose, at least some of the time. And that was the case with Grant. That was the case with Walker. That's why I was on board with that. This one, I'm not feeling it. Okay? You've already got Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy competing for snaps because they both kind of do the same thing. They're both like the 3-tech. And sometimes we go 2 3-techs on the field at the same time so they can play. I don't need to be injecting another guy like that into the mix here. So, admittedly, I haven't looked into Shemar Stewart a ton. He didn't really interest me all that much. So I just kind of like moved on. I'm one man. I don't have time to look at every single college player thoroughly like that. But this one, I don't think I'm on board with this one. And by the way, if you scroll down to the bottom here, you can see that a few of the players that were in the top 32 but did not find their way in this mock draft included Kenneth Grant. Very hard time buying that this team should pass up Kenneth Grant to get Shemar Stewart. All right. That's what we're going to look at for this video. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. That's what the experts say. What say you?